Zimmerman. I'm a Deputy Sheriff, Canine Handler with the Columbia County Sheriff's Office in Georgia.
Thank you very much. Please answer council's questions.
Thank you. Deputy, how long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
Since 2003,
Okay. And how are you currently employed with the Sheriff's Office?
I work as a dog handler, not a canine unit,
And how long have you been a canine unit?
since 2005.
And do you have to have any kind of specialized training to be a canine officer?
Yes, we usually start off with each time you get a new dog, you go back to basic handler school, because we're also training the dog at the same time. It's about a 208 hours, I believe, is the basic school, which I've done twice. This is my second dog, the one I currently work.
Okay. And what is your partner's name?
Boz.
Boz. And what type of dog is Boz?
He's a Belgian Malinois. What do you mean as far as what breed or what type?
Right. What
breed? Belgian Malinois.
Okay. And how long have you been working with Boz?
Boz and I have been paired together since 2006.
Okay. And how old is Boz?
He will be 8 in April.
How many hours of training have you had with Boz?
Look at the notes real quick. I've had, as far as formalized training with certificates and hours, we're looking at, I've had over 652 hours, 444 hours of that have been with Canine Boz, my current partner.
And if you would, explain to the jury how Boz operates or how you communicate with Boz.
He's a what we call a dual-purpose dog. He does detection work as well as patrol work and tracking. His detection odor is, he's a narcotics detection dog, which is what we use him for when we're deploying for detection. He does do patrol work, which is everything from apprehension to building clearing, area searches for people, vehicle extractions, as well as regular apprehension and handler protection work. He's a tracking dog, but we have him trained for article searches, meaning he's looking for something with human odor on it, which is what I used him for on this particular night.
Okay. And were you working with Boz on January 31st, 2011?
Correct, I was.
And did you respond with Boz to 1159 Miles Road?
I did.
And when you initially arrived at that location, do you recall what time that would have been?
I believe it was, I think the call went out at 4:12. Is that right, or 4:16? Let me look. 16:12, which was 4:12 in the afternoon. My arrival time was 16:32, so it took me about 20 minutes to get there. For those not familiar with where this incident occurred, this is out there on the county line near McDuffie County, and I usually spend most of my time in the eastern side of the county, so it took me a little while to get out there.
Okay. And initially, when you respond to this location, what is the purpose of bringing or calling for a canine unit specifically for you to come?
I went en route anyway. The way the call was put out, there was some suspects that it sounded like a home invasion. The way dispatch put it out with a shooting, somebody was shot and the suspects fled. We try to keep our ears open. Anything that we think a dog may be used on, we try to go ahead and go en route. It's easier for them to tell us once we get there, we don't need you. Then if we don't go, hey, we need you out here now. So that's our purpose as to why we went. When I arrived, down the street from where this incident location occurred, we had at the time a canine handler who was actually off duty, but he heard the call go out after seeing all the cars going down there, and he was actually already on scene, suited up and ready to go with his dog.
And what did you do after you arrived at that point?
Sergeant Baxley, with his dog, Canine Rex, he was ready to go on the track. At the time, my role then goes from being a canine handler to a support for him. Mostly I'm going to be his cover officer. I'm going to be his gun, his eyes. We're now looking for suspects that are involved in a shooting and have fled into the woods. So my job is to make sure the whole team, my cover area of responsibility to cover the whole team with my rifle, that was my main purpose then. After we ran a track for a while, Sergeant Baxley advised me that his dog had lost track and the track did not make sense. So therefore I said, well, let me go back and use my dog to see if maybe any evidence was dropped in the area. So based on what Sergeant Baxley had explained to me with his dog, he told me the areas to check, which was about maybe 2-3 acre area of woods that I checked with Boz looking for any articles or evidence that had been dropped. At the time, he did not throw any indication that he was in odor of anything, and he did not indicate or alert on any objects on that search.
And what is a track? When you refer to that, what are you specifically
With the track,
referring to?
the dog's looking for the actual, pretty much the path the person went. He's looking for the suspect's foot trail, for lack of a better term, as well as human odor that comes off. With the area search, article search, he's looking for an actual article. So he's not trying to follow something from point A to point B. He's scanning a larger area, trying to hit the scent cone of the object that he's looking for, which will vary based on wind speed, temperature, humidity, other environmental factors. When he hits that scent cone, we'll say, he'll work it to the source of it, at which point he'll lay down next to the object, and given as hyper as my dog is, he'll start barking like crazy because he wants his toy.
And how long would you say that you and Boz, along with Sergeant Baxley and K9 Rex, were attempting to track these unknown individuals in the woods?
You mean as far as K9, the track he did with Sergeant Baxley did with his dog?
Right, and in addition with Boz as well. after that.
Well, I was it probably took me a good 40, 45 minutes, maybe to an hour to clear the whole area to where I felt it was cleared sufficiently. Now, that's, again, with the area search, article search with my dog. You're talking about the first search, correct? Okay. As far as the track, I can't recall exactly how long we were on the ground with that.
But would it be safe to say that you were actively pursuing these subjects at the time that you believed could have been involved in the invasion?
Correct, we were.
Okay. And at some point, do you leave that location?
I do. I left the location, and several hours later, I was sitting at the gas station with one of my supervisors, and his phone rang, and he was speaking with one of the investigators who had explained that the defendant suspect had given them a more generalized area that we needed to check for the gun. It was not an area that I had checked to begin with, because I was going based on what the other handler was telling me. So I went up there to try and give it another try in that particular area. That was at about, check the time on it. I arrived to do that article search or area search at 23:21.
And what time is that in layman's terms?
It's 11:21 in the evening.
Okay. And at that point, or explain to the jury, what do you do with Boz when you initially are about to start a search? Is he on a leash? Is he off a leash?
I can run them either on lead or off lead. In a heavily wooded area like that, I prefer to work them off lead, because with all the trees, it just turns into a nightmare me trying to hold on to the lead. If any of y'all have had a dog and you get in the woods and they get to moving around. Plus, I find that it doesn't hinder him at all being attached to the lead. So what I'll do is I'll put him in the sit, and I'll give him the command for the article search, and then he will shoot out and work the area.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Approximately, it was 23:35, about 14 minutes later, he showed a change of behavior where pretty much it's like as soon as he gets an odor, if you picture a dog moving pretty fast, and then it's like the head stops but the body doesn't, and he just throws a change. And now he's in odor. He worked it, laid down on the forest floor, and began barking like he normally does. I looked at the ground. I didn't see anything, but I could tell he was in odor. So I looked a little bit better with my flashlight, and I could see just part of a handgun barrel, which was buried underneath a bunch of leaves on the forest floor, to which I rewarded him, notified CID.
Okay, and how do you reward him?
Well, I could reward him several ways. Either sometimes I'll reward him verbal praise or physical praise, but also I'll reward him with a toy too sometimes, which I did that day.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Deputy, I'm going to show you what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit 180 and ask you if you recognize that depiction.
Yes.
And what is that?
That is to barely see the handle of the firearm that Boz located.
Okay, thank you. And may I have publish this to the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see it on your screen up there?
Yes.
Where is the firearm?
It's kind of blurry, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you asking me?
Where, can you tell me generally where the firearm is?
I don't know if it's this screen. It's hard to tell.
Okay, that's fine.
I had to look at it
I
several
have
times
another
that
picture
night
for you.
before I actually saw what he was indicating on.
Yeah, I mean, I published 181 previously amended.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a closer picture. You may not be able
I think
to-
mine is, yeah. Referring to right here. Oh, okay, right here by the stick. Actually, right. Touchscreen.
Okay.
There we go.
And did you have to? Well, were you present when the firearm was removed?
No, I went ahead and pulled my dog out of there.
Okay.
Gave him a reward.
How far underneath the brush was the firearm located?
I didn't pull it out, but it was buried pretty. I mean, it didn't look like it was thrown. If that's what you're asking, it looked like somebody actually had to place it covered up.
Okay.
There's
Thank
no, I can't. There's no way somebody just tossed that.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness. Ms. Docker might have some for you.
Ms. Docker?
No questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can step down.
Thank you.
Sir.
My name is Dennis V. Miller, spelled D-E-N-N-I-S. V is in Victor, Miller, M-I-L-L-E-R. I'm employed at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation at the State Crime Lab in Decatur, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. Please answer council's questions. Madam DA?
Thank you. Mr. Miller, what specifically do you do at the GBI?
I'm a firearms examiner.
And as part of your regular duties, what do you do on a regular basis?
I'm routinely called upon to determine whether a particular cartridge case or bullet was fired from a particular gun, or whether a particular gun could have fired a particular cartridge case or bullet. I also do serial number restoration on guns, and I do muzzle to target distance determinations.
Okay. And have you had any specialized training with respect to firearms?
Yes, I have.
And what type of training have you had?
I've trained for 2 years at the GBI. I took 4 armorers courses where I go to the manufacturer and learn how to take apart the guns, clean the guns, work with the guns. I toured 9 firearms plants throughout the country to see how firearms are made and how the process, the manufacturing process, how that exactly impacts what I do in firearms. At the GBI itself, I had training with the technical leader in firearms in both microscopic comparisons, ammunitions examination, and weapons examination. I've examined probably over 200 guns and have compared over 1,000 cartridge cases and bullets. Our training was divided into different training blocks, and the completion of each block was a written test and/or a lab practical, and we had practical exams on all the different phases, which I passed all the exams.
And have you ever been qualified before as an expert in firearms comparison?
Yes, I have.
And, Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to admit Mr. Miller's testimony as that of an expert in firearms comparison.
Thank you, Ms. Tonkar. Voir dire?
No vote, no objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. You might so testify.
When you talk about cartridge casings, what are you referring to?
May I refer to a prop I brought with me?
Your Honor, is that okay if he refers to the model?
Yes.
Sometimes there's confusion over what is meant by the different components of firearms. This is what is commonly referred to as a cartridge versus a cartridge case. The cartridge has all the components of the ammunition. Has the cartridge case itself, has the primer area down below here, which has to do with the ignition of the projectile. This is filled with powder. Powder goes in there, and the bullet goes in the top. So this is a single unit of ammunition. This is just referred to as a cartridge case, and this is just a bullet or projectile.
And did you have the occasion to become involved or do any firearms comparison in the case of where the victim is Alana Callahan and the subject was Lacey Aaron Schmidt?
Yes, I did.
And what was your involvement in that?
My involvement was determining, provided the evidence I was given, the one cartridge case and one projectile to determine, and also a gun, to determine if those items were fired in or from that particular firearm.
Okay. And were you able to make that determination?
Yes, I was.
And what was your determination?
Determination was that the cartridge case submitted and the bullet were both fired in the submitted firearm that I was provided with.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Showing you what's been previously admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 224, also 211, 212, and 213. Do you recognize those items?
I can recognize this item, which contains a firearm because of the GBI barcode and case number, and also the evidence tape that I placed on this myself with my initials and the date that I had sealed this envelope.
And what, if anything, do you do with respect to the actual firearm?
In this particular case, I would have needed to proceed by testing the firearm, test firing the firearm to see if the projectiles and the cartridge case that were involved in that were involved with the evidence that I was submitted.
And were you able to make that determination?
Yes, I was.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness again?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to show you previously marked as State's Exhibit 225, and I just want to ask if you recognize that object.
Yes, I do. These are the three test fires that I put through this particular firearm.
And how do you know that those are your test fires?
Again, this is my writing. This is the case number, and I have my initials and the date I sealed it, so I know that this is mine.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time we would just seek them at State's Exhibit 225.
Any objection?
No, sir.
225 is admitted.
And with respect to the other items, I believe I gave you marked 211, 212, and 213. What are those items?
Your Honor, may I refer to my notes?
Yes, sir.
Item 12, which is State's Exhibit 211, is a 9mm cartridge case that contains my initials in there. This is the cartridge case that I was provided with and examined.
And were you able to determine what firearm fired that cartridge case?
Yes.
Which firearm?
I need to have that back.
The weapon is unloaded.
Thank you. I could determine that this is the weapon I examined due to my initials that I inscribed on the front of the firearm, and also by the serial number, which matches my report.
And what about the other items that you were given 213?
Item 13 is the metal jacketed bullet that I was given to test, and again, I can tell that by the case number and my initials and the seal on this.
And do you know where that projectile was fired from?
That projectile was fired from this gun as well.
Okay. And do you observe the gun, or do you, I guess, determine whether or not how the gun is fired in terms of pounds of pressure that would have to be applied to the trigger before it would be able to actually hit the primer with the hammer?
Yes, I did.
And what are the pounds of pressure?
This particular weapon has a trigger pull of 4.5 pounds in the single action mode and 13 pounds in the double action mode.
Right. And if you would, just verify for your own safety and the safety of others that the weapon is secure, and demonstrate to the jury what single action is versus what double action is.
Yes, I can physically and see that and visually see that this weapon is unloaded. Single action weapon, the weapon is cocked, the trigger is pulled, and it releases the trigger, releases the hammer to go forward, which hits the firing pin, which fires the gun. All it does is release the trigger. In double action mode, when you pull the trigger, you're doing two things. You're cocking the weapon to prepare for firing and releasing the trigger forward and firing the weapon. This has both a single action and a double action mode to it. Right now, it is cocked by pulling a slide to the rear, the hammers to the rear, and pulling the trigger would fire the weapon.
Your Honor, can you come off this stand just so everyone can see?
Yes, ma'am.
You can.
You can step down.
So once that slide goes forward and goes back, the hammer is pulled to the rear, and the firing pin mechanism is right there. So by pulling the trigger, the hammer is allowed to go forward and hit the firing pin to fire, like that.
And that's single action or double action?
That's single action because it was already cocked, or you could do it with like this. If there were a bullet in the chamber, just all it does is release the trigger to go forward. And the only way this gun can be done in double action is the gun is cocked like that, just like you would for single, but this has a decocking, what's called a decocker on it right here. And by decocking it, it lowers the hammer to a safe position, which is off a little bit. If you see, it didn't go all the way to where the firing pin is. It holds it a little bit off. So now, when you pull the trigger, it's both going to cock the hammer and fire. That's mainly used for a carrying position where a person wouldn't be ready to use the gun. They could rack it to bring the round up into the chamber. They could decock it, and then they could put it in a holster or whatever, so when they're ready to use the weapon, they could draw the weapon, and with just one motion, pulling the trigger, will both cock and fire. In the single action mode, as I demonstrated, it just releases it. And then the semi-automatic action of the firearm, which is there's a spring in here that when the gun is fired, that spring brings everything forward, brings up a new cartridge, loads it into the chamber, and allows it to be ready for the next shot. So all you're doing is pulling the trigger. You're not really cocking the hammer because the semi-automatic action of the gun has done that for you.
And is the pounds of pressure for double action the same as for single action?
No. The double action in this gun is 13 pounds, and the single action is only 4.5 pounds.
Okay. And what position does the trigger return to after the gun is fired?
If it's in the single action mode, it'll be back and cocked and ready to go again.
Okay. And if it was in double action?
Double action, same thing. This way just returns completely like that to the front like that. It's not ready to fire again. The hammer's not cocked in the same position.
Okay. So if you were to find the gun with the hammer in this position, could you reasonably conclude that the last fire, or I guess the last time that the gun was fired, it was in single action mode?
No, that'd be in double action.
Well, if it's back, I mean, if the hammer
is it back all the way? Yes.
Okay, so it would have been in single action mode.
Yes.
Thank you. You can return to your. What were the dimensions of this weapon?
What particular dimensions?
Length and width.
The barrel length is 4 3/4. The overall length is 8.5, measured from the butt to the barrel.
Okay, and how much does it weigh?
It weighs 2.10 pounds.
Okay. Just back up for 1 second, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I have no further questions, Ms. Duncan.
Thank you. Ms. Dunkard?
Thank you. Following up on the question about what happens after the firearm is shot, it would also be possible if it was shot in double action that if you found it later and the hammer had been cocked, the hammer could have just been cocked after it was shot.
When you fire it, it would return to its normal resting
Yes.
position. It would be uncocked.
It would be uncocked immediately after you found it.
Right.
I mean, after it was fired, but then the hammer could have been subsequently cocked.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Just for clarification, manually, would it, if you had fired the weapon in double action and then cocked the hammer yourself, you would have had to done that yourself. The gun wouldn't have returned to that position, correct?
When the gun fires, it goes to the rear. The slide goes to the rear and prepares it for the next shot, so it would be cocked.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Dunkard, I think.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you step down? Thank you, sir.
Am I released from my subpoena?
Yes, sir, you certainly are.
Thank you.
Any further need of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Have a safe trip back. Ms. Pittman?
Yes, sir.
Just raise your right hand, please, first before you're seated. Well, that's okay. However you're comfortable, just raise your right hand and take the oath, please. Do you swear that the testimony you shall give in the matter that's now before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you. And you need to answer everything out loud so the court reporter can take down what you're saying, okay? Thank you, sir. For the record, please state your full name.
Thomas Stanley Pittman.
Yes, sir, thank you. And you might want to, can you move up a little closer to that microphone? Yes, sir, thank you. And where do you live, sir? And that's where?
In Harlem, Georgia.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pittman. Please answer the attorney's questions, please. Madam
you.
DA?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Pittman, how old are you?
15.
And do you know Aaron Schmidt?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you see Aaron Schmidt in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
What's he, if you could just identify him by one article of clothing?
Striped shirt.
Okay. And how do you know?
Like that the witness has identified the defendant.
Thank you, Judge. Sorry. How do you know Aaron Schmidt?
It's my cousin.
And prior to January 2011, what was the status of your relationship? I mean, did you see him on a daily basis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And would you say y'all were friends as well?
Best friends.
Do you know the Callahan family?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know the Callahan family?
I met them through Aaron. They bought the property next to ours.
Okay. When you say next to ours, what property are you referring to?
My uncle's 14 acres.
Which uncle?
Lonnie
Lonnie who?
Schumann.
Did you know Alana Callahan?
Yes, ma'am.
And where, or do you recall where the first time it was that you met Alana?
Over the summer, they was moving into their house.
Okay. And what would you say that the relationship was like between Aaron and the Callahans?
Very close. They was really good friends.
Okay. To your knowledge, would he be over there on a regular basis?
Sometimes.
Do you recall meeting with Investigator Jones in relation to the murder of Alana Callahan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, do you recall seeing Aaron up into in the days leading up to Alana's murder?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many days prior to her death did you encounter Erin?
Day before it.
And what were y'all doing that day?
We was cleaning up my house because we just took our pool down.
Okay. And how far away is your house from his house?
Like 4 miles.
Okay. And what was his demeanor like that day?
Just what?
His behavior, or was he in a good mood? Was he in a
Yeah,
bad
he was
mood?
in a good mood.
Okay. Did the two of you ever have the occasion to do target practice with any type of gun?
Well, when my uncle was around, yes, ma'am.
What type of guns?
Like 22s,
Okay. Were all rifles or any handgun?
rifles.
Do you recall mentioning to Investigator Jones anything about who Aaron would blame things on whenever he would get in trouble?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ever tell Investigator Jones that that whenever Aaron would get in trouble, that he always blamed it on a black man dressed in black clothing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you did not say that?
I don't recall saying it.
You do remember meeting with Investigator Jones at Harlem Middle School
Yes, ma'am.
in February of 2011.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible that you said that to him?
It's possible. It might be. It's been so long, and I was nervous, and it was so close. I might have said some things I really didn't mean.
Okay. So you don't recall Aaron ever blaming anything on a black man dressed in black clothing? Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to publish State's Exhibit 6, which would be the recorded interview of Thomas Pittman with Investigator Jones.
All right, Mr. Dunkor,
We don't have an objection, Your Honor.
thank you. May I proceed? I move the recording and the evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. If we could, I think I still have something.
Yes, ma'am.
But if I could publish this to the jury.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Today's date is February the 3rd, 2011. It is 12:20 p.m. We're at Harlem Middle School conducting an interview with Mr. Thomas Pittman. This is in reference to a case out on Miles Road in Harlem involving Aaron Schmidt. Present for this interview is myself, Investigator Brian Jones, Investigator Jimmy Edmonds, Principal Carl Shelton at Mom's request for Mr. Pittman and Mr. Pittman. So just before we, I guess the easiest way to do it, just, tell me as far as your dealings with Aaron, starting, let's say, Friday of last week.
Friday of last week, I went over to stay the night with him, and a boy named Tyler Hyman and David met two other boys. One was a colored boy and one was white, but I couldn't see their faces. They came to our house at 11:30, and they were like, "Come outside," and we went all out. They said, "Just come outside real fast, we want to talk." I said, "Okay." Aaron came out and I came out, and they were like, "How much money you got?" I said, "I don't have none." And Aaron said, "He didn't have it." They're like, "Come on, we got a little weed. You want to buy some?" I was like, "Dude, we don't got no money." He said, just prove it. And I pulled out my wallet, and I had $0. And he said, "Aaron, you prove it." Aaron pulled out his wallet, and he said, "I've got $14. And he's like, "That's all I got, but I got to save this." They're like, "Count it out." Aaron said, "Look, that's all I got." And Tyler Hyman reached in, took off running down the road. Okay, so I went back inside, and I was embarrassed to tell my name. I just got wrong. So I just stayed inside. And I started watching SpongeBob. And then I fell asleep, and the next day, I went back down there, and I was talking to Punk Matt. drove her truck down there, and she apologized to me, and she told me she would get our money back, and that she was very sorry for what had happened. Said she took my phone number, and she said she would call me. She never called me, but it's, I'm not too concerned about it. And that's what had happened then. And then the next day we went to my house. That was Saturday. Saturday night we went to my house, and we just chilled at my house. And the next day we did some yard work at my house. We cleaned up the whole backyard, finished taking down our pool, and Aaron went home. And then I came to school. Everything was fine. I seen Alana in my classroom. Me and Alana, we would pick around, but like nothing no more than like, we never said we hated each other. We never said we would kill each other. Nothing like that. But like we would do, you know how a boy and a girl would pick around. We picked around like that. That was straight up just boy and girl. I went home. My sister came home from the high school. I said, "Wait, I'm gonna run up to Coach Dave's barbershop here in Harlem, and I'm gonna see if he's open to get a haircut because he's really bad when he wants." So I got on bike. I rode out there, and he was up. So I came back home. My aunt followed me. They just followed me up there and made sure I made it back home safely. And then I came home, and then I started playing Call of Duty Black Ops. And then my mom came home, and she started to cook supper, and that's when we found out that Alana had been injured. And I was like, "What had happened?" I was like, "Mom, what happened to her?" She said, they say, at first they thought that she had been attacked by a boar because they said her clothes were all shredded and stuff, all bloodied up. And then later on that night we found out it was a shooting. And that's what I just didn't know what to think. I was praying to God it wasn't my cousin. I have some guns out at my nanny's house because I hunt, but I mean they stayed put up, and that just put me in the most god-awful panic. I was like, please Lord, please don't let him have taken one of my guns. And they said it was a handgun. I was like, a handgun? I don't know, a handgun. That's all I remember me and him doing. I don't remember him mentioning nothing about the gun. I mean, he was picky. He didn't want me in his drawers and stuff like that, but I was like, well, that's your privacy, dude. I'm not going to go through your stuff. I knew he would hide his dip under his pillowcase, but I mean, I'm not going to tell him some dip. But if I would have known he would have had a gun, that's serious. I mean, when I took my hunter safety course, they said an unloaded gun is more dangerous than a loaded gun. And a gun that's stolen is completely just outrageously dangerous. So I would have told him, you know, I mean.
So Tyler Hyman and Dave Mathis and two other boys, they go on Friday.
Yes, sir. They come up there to our house about 11:30 on Friday night.
So Tyler Hyman grabbed the money out of Aaron's wallet.
Yes, sir.
What, after that happened, what did Aaron say? What did he say to you?
He told me he was really mad and he wanted to go down there and fight. And I said, no, that ain't worth it. It's $14.
Y'all didn't tell your nanny?
No, that's when I was embarrassed. I saw that embarrassed.
Well, how did she find out about that?
David Mathis came up, she said he came up there Sunday saying that we were down there. And I said, yes, ma'am, I was down there. She asked me why, and I told her why.
Said that you were down at his house?
Yeah, I told her, I was like, they took money from us. They took it. She asked why I was, which is proving that we had money. She's like, y'all don't have to prove we have money. And I was like, yes, ma'am, I understand.
So when did you and Aaron go to Dave Mathis's house?
That was Saturday, about 12:30 to 1:30. We were down there about an hour talking with Mama Mathis. Then his mama came, and after Tyler's mama came and she talked to me, she was like, okay. And then we went to the Walmart. And then I guess we were every time I was like, that ain't worth it. He's like, I'm not saying I'm going to do that. He always would. Aaron, he's one of those people that somebody has to listen to him, because if they don't, he'll hold it inside. And that's something that you don't want to see with Aaron, obviously. He never showed no aggression towards me, but he did have some anger problems. Recently, I mean, I didn't see nothing out of ordinary, but when Nanny would get on to him, it's like he just gets so mad. He's just like, don't you get on to me. But I mean, he's always been like that. If he gets in trouble, he just gets mad. He don't get sad that he's in trouble. He gets mad.
So on Friday, what time did you go over your names? Did you go after school?
Rode the bus out there, yes, sir.
So you rode the bus home with Aaron?
No, Aaron, he rides.
That's right. He
goes down
Georgia.
and I go on the Harlem Middle bus. And this load dropped me off at Grandma's house at 3:15. And from then, we've been doing scrap metal, selling off our junk back in the woods of our house. And that's what we did all afternoon. We pulled out scrap and stuff. We made a pile.
And this was on Friday?
Yes, sir.
When you got to your grandma's house, where was Aaron? Was he at the house?
Because I'm not allowed to walk over there. Yeah, I think he was there. Because I'm not allowed to walk over to the cabin house.
Why is that?
Because me and her daughter, their daughter, Alana, we had gotten into it one time on the phone. And I said a curse word, and her parents don't like curse words. Because I was asking, I was like, we tell Aaron to come on over to Nanny's because I just got it. And she was like, why do I have to tell him? And I was like, just do it. And then I said the D word. Her mom got real mad and didn't want to do it. But they loved Aaron.
15 to 5 is, that's an hour and 45 minutes. That's a long time to.
But he was there, he watched Full House with me.
That's about 5. Was he there? I mean, could it be possible that you waited for him? Because his bus gets there before him.
His bus gets at 1:15.
1:15.
I'm pretty sure he was there when I got back, or he was just coming in. That's why I didn't have to go get him. That's why I didn't have to wait. He got there
What time did you say his bus got there?
about 1. He said 1:15, 1:30, something like that. He gets home way earlier than everybody else.
Okay. Okay. Were you over there on Thursday?
No, sir. My parents don't let me go around weekdays. Occasionally, I do stay the night before I work there.
This deal with Dave and these other people. Was that anything that was mentioned beforehand? Or why did they just all of a sudden show up at your neighbor's house, want you to buy weed? So was that a one-time thing, or is that something?
But they came out there before to play football, and we're good friends with them. They're not the best people to be friends with, but
Has he ever mentioned looking you to buy marijuana from you before?
Tyler did. Yes, sir, he has. And I told him, I was like, I can't. I guess he just wants me to buy. I was like, I told him, the day of our field trip, we had a field trip last Friday. I told him, he's like, do you have any money? I was like, I got the money I've just earned, but I can't spend it. And I still got it all at the house. And he's like, why not? I was like, I want to save up for some new weights. And he said,
So it was Tyler that was doing all the asking and not David?
no, not David.
Did David ever ask?
David told me, he said he didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
And I was like,
Had he ever approached Aaron before?
Tyler? No, sir. They used to go to school together in 6th grade, but Aaron started going to an alternative school.
I mean, as far as out there in the neighborhood or whatever, I mean, it was just, did Aaron never say anything about Tyler that asked him to do it before? He was thinking about buying some marijuana from Tyler before or anything like that? You never heard him talk about that before? Okay.
He's got dip from David before. But nothing from Tyler, nothing involving marijuana.
Can you tell them what you were, can you go ahead and let them know? I'm sure they want to know what you and Tyler were about to get into it about yesterday.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Well, I heard from my friend Ryan Sherman that Tyler Hyman was mad at me and trying to accuse me and say I was part of this. And ain't no way I was part of this. I wasn't even down there. I was right here across the street from the school. And I mean, when I walked into class, he didn't say nothing, but he was staring at me. And I asked him, do you have a problem? And he said, I know I ain't got no dang on problem with it. We almost got into it. I'm tired of everybody. People, I mean, it's bad enough I was related to this. Now, for somebody to say I was a part of it.
One other thing that I want to ask you about, you made a comment about when you heard about what happened to Alana. You made the comment, God, I hope it ain't there. Why did you say that?
Because I just knew something was wrong. Aaron
that you made on the recording?
Yes, ma'am.
The point of impeachment.
Madam DA?
That's fine, if we could just approach it.
Okay. I would agree. Yes, ma'am.
You have to put him together piece by piece.
Okay. Let me ask you this straight out. Do you know about Aaron having that pistol?
No, sir.
Because, I mean, you're just kind of saying a whole lot of stuff right here kind of on the side that maybe think that maybe you might. And I'm not saying that you're lying, but I want you to understand. I mean, whatever you say is it's not any worse than what it already is. I'm trying to find out. You said he's a puzzle. We're trying to put it together. You're a piece of that puzzle. But I want you to understand too. I mean, if you know something, we need to know that. I mean,
I understand where both of y'all coming from, but no, sir, I did not know about
you were over there Saturday?
Yes, sir.
For how long?
From the morning all the way, I guess we left. I think we went to Walmart about 2 something.
You spent the night at your house Saturday night. Did you go back over there Sunday?
Yes, sir. I was just there Friday night.
So from 3:15 Friday to Saturday
And you acknowledge that you did, in fact, admit to investigators Jones and Evans that when the defendant gets in trouble, or when he did get in trouble in the past, he would frequently blame it on a black individual dressed in all black clothing.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Your Honor,
I'll permit the question.
Yes, ma'am. I said that.
okay. When you refer to nanny, who is nanny?
Diana Chitty.
And so the weekend leading up to this incident, did the defendant ever mention anything about Alana to you?
No, ma'am.
What about the Callahan family in general?
No, ma'am.
Did he indicate to you if he was upset or mad about anything?
No, ma'am.
And which guns specifically were kept at your nanny's home?
222s and my shotgun, and my 30-30.
And who lived with your nanny?
My Uncle Bubba, and I don't remember if they had a patient at the time, but I don't think they did.
Okay, what about, where did the defendant live?
With my nanny,
Okay, and do you know what road that was?
Miles Road.
Okay, just one second. Your Honor, I have no questions of this witness, Ms. Duncar.
Ms. Dunkar?
Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, Tommy. Could you just briefly explain what you meant? You heard in the recording that you had said that Aaron was mischievous and liked to plunder. Could you just explain a little bit what you meant by that?
Like, he just liked to look around, you know what I mean? He just liked to look around.
Okay. But you didn't mean that he was violent.
Oh, no.
Okay. And you also stated that everybody knew Aaron was going to do this one day. Is that right? You stated that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that was because since Aaron had lived with your nanny since he was 5, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, Your Honor, this is speculation. So this is different than leading.
Overruled.
You've lived with your nanny since you were, Aaron has lived with your nanny since he was 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in that time, you have spent a great deal of time over at your nanny's house,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
correct? And playing with Aaron, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in that time, you've had the occasion to observe Aaron's reactions, emotional reactions,
Towards, like,
everything. Different reactions.
yeah, he had his different reactions, but the side I mainly seen was, let's go play in the yard. I mean, I didn't ever see any violence or
Okay.
physical altercations or anything.
Okay. And did you ever see him react when he was upset about something? Did you ever see him do something that you hadn't seen other people do?
Like, when we was little, and he'd get in trouble, he'd go hide and just, like, curl up, and he'd just get mad. Just mad. And, I mean, he grew out of it. I don't know. But that was when we was little.
Okay. And you stated that also on the tape that he was very sensitive to rejection.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And you stated that was because of his past.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. Madam DA?
Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness.
You can sit down, sir. Thank you, Ms. Pittman.